Bench, episode number 74. Tom Albano here along with Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen. Gentlemen, good afternoon. A lot that has gone on in the sports world, for better and for worse, for funny and for quite sad. And we have a lot to get through, and just hope
so many things, so little time.
Yeah, so many things, guys. I'll give you one good note. Baseball starts tomorrow.
Yeah, baseball starts tomorrow. And guess what? I'm back.
Hallelujah! Baseball's back. Knicks returned. Things have gone back to normal, I think.
Let's hope.
Oh no, they'll never be normal. It's just I'm just here now. I'm just roasting marshmallows while Rome burns.
So what exactly is the definition of normal anymore? I don't know.
Not to get all metaphysical on you folks.
All right, so I hate to have to start with this, but it is something that does need to be discussed. First of all, the top story of this week, as though you all would know out there, Tiger Woods was involved in a very tragic one-car accident. Fortunately, he is okay. He will not face any charges. He suffered several injuries. I think both of his legs were they broken or were they?
They were fractured.
Both of them were fractured, or only one?
They were both fractured. He had some spine injuries. He had some leg fracture.
Well, he has a history of spinal injuries. So was that sustained as a result of the accident?
Well, they didn't help.
I'm sure that didn't help. Then again, I mean, we're not doctors, nor do we pretend to be on TV. But I mean, the narrative not narrative, but the thing that where was he, in Santa Clara?
Yes, I think he was in the Santa Clara area, LA area. He was there, I think, hosting a golf tournament, and
filming a documentary, I think.
Well,
he was supposed to be meeting with Justin Herbert and somebody else for
his golf lessons or something, or for filming a segment for something. But the thing that the Santa Clara PD kept stressing was, if not for the fact that he was wearing a seatbelt, and not for the fact that the safety devices on his car were as good as they were, he would have died, and we would have lost Kobe and Tiger, within almost a year of each other.
Talk about how crazy that would have been if that whole situation had gone down. Now, we know that Tiger Woods has had a history in the past of being traffic stopped for DUI, prescription pills, doing a bunch of other things. This, at least from what we're being told. Now, by the way, there was an inaccuracy reported at the beginning of this story, which, by the way, this goes back to the whole thing that happened with Kobe, that people were trying to report the story too quickly rather than
get it first, rather than get it right.
So the report was that they had to use the jaws of life to get him out of the car because the car rolled over on its side. And if you go to our account at ETB Sports, I posted the picture of the car being on its side. But for most people who don't understand what the jaws of life is, the jaws of life means that the windshield has to be taken off to get somebody out of the vehicle. That never happened.
Because the windshield was already shattered.
I don't know if it was shattered, but it just had damage in it.
It looks pretty bad. But I'll pony on that by saying this. I'd say obviously there's a reason why in journalism that you want to be first to a story, and but it's not, first of all, not worth the inaccurate information. But second of all, for those of you who are consuming news, just remember something: the first details of a news report, sometimes, that the stories will be updated in times of, I'll say, I forget what, I think it might have been the SPJ who has this, but there's a thing of when a tragic story happens or a breaking news story happens, say, heaven forbid I bring this up, but some of these mass shootings that we've had, it's like sometimes those first details, are just first details. They may not be the most accurate first details. The story will continue to be updated as events unfold.
And it's not like it was 20, 30, even 40 years ago when you had time to put a paper together before you before you did it. But now,
not in the internet age.
yeah, not in the internet age, but now you get it first and not get it right, or at least make enough of an effort to make it right.
I mean, the way the story has gone, and there's been an update since then that he moved to Sinai Hospital due to a treatment concern.
Yeah, they had inserted a rod into his leg and pins and screws. Essentially, what happened to Alex Smith, happened to him in both legs. So, if you remember correctly, it was a open compound fracture. Well, of course, Alex Smith was his situation was more complicated by suffering a staph infection and almost dying from it thereof. But if we can, as far as the reports will tell us, because again, there is medical information, and you don't want to put anything out there that might be construed as a HIPAA violation. But essentially, that's as far as what we know right now.
So the way that this story is now, like you said, Nick, this would have been a massive, massive story, or I shouldn't say it is a massive story, but it would have been it would have been the biggest story of the last couple of days if, God forbid, he had passed away, and that was the whole situation. Now, I want to talk about one, since we're talking about media, that ESPN totally effed this one up big time.
Like they did with Kobe.
Same with Kobe, same with Tiger. And don't get me wrong, media, they have to be able, I think they were trying to figure out the story to the best of their degree, but at the same time, you got to break away from the jump, which is their NBA property, and go cover the story.
And go ahead.
I was going to say, well, first of all, credit to the jump people, those people on the jump who tried to, at least give some information as they knew it. Obviously, they're basketball people. They're not golf people. And most of them, because the jump has a few former players, aren't even journalism people. So they tried their best to try to, get the story, out there. But my thing is, because yes, ESPN deserves blame, but it's not on the jump people. That's on the producers. That's on the board operators. That's on the network executives.
But then ESPN did a 180, and after saying, "All right, we missed it. Now we're going to cover it from 4:15 to 7 o'clock." Okay, let's ask every ESPN analyst there is at ESPN golf analyst there is. Oh, well, what do you think? You're going to get the same answer. Oh, we're just hearing the report. We don't want to give misinformation.
Well, honestly, that was bad. The fact that they did not break away from anything until like 4 o'clock, like an hour and a half after it happened. It makes no sense.
Reported that it happened because remember, keep in mind, the crash actually happened at 7 a.m. At 7 a.m. earlier in the day. So
so the crash happened then, but the news reports, if I remember, started coming around 2:15, 2:30 Eastern time.
Yeah.
So, but still, that's an hour and a half that they delayed. Because now I know the thing with ESPN, they never want to give credit. They'll give credit to who first reported it, but they need their sources to confirm everything.
Oh, give me a break. I mean, you know what? I understand. And ESPN, by the way, has this is a little bit of inside information that they sometimes will steal people's sources allegedly to do their own stories.
They've been caught a couple times doing that, haven't they?
And my favorite is like when you see them put up those ESPN banners, like on Sports Center, like on the bottom in little tiny print, they'll say via Yahoo, via Associated Press, but ESPN is the one that's large. It's not their story.
And the funny thing is, I mean, we were taught, I mean, who cares if your exclusives get it? I mean, if you have something or if somebody reports on something, you also report on that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't wait for your people. That's why you had the Associated Press back in the day, the AP news ticker to do that.
And that's the problem with this whole story.
But I do have a question that I would like to pose just to change the focus of the story a little bit.
Okay.
I need to ask because I have my own opinions on this. Everybody's saying that it could take Tiger, a year or two to get back on the golf on the green and start playing golf again. I don't think he needs to play golf anymore.
I was gonna jump in and say I know exactly where you're going. This is in this case, he does not need to worry about getting back onto the green. This is kind of, you mentioned Alex Smith before. This is kind of like his situation. If he gets back on the field, and in this case, if he gets back on the green, great. It's an absolute miracle. But he should focus on just
getting back and walking.
Having fair, good quality of life. He doesn't need his career. And I will be honest, because I told you guys this. I think I even hinted it at the Unspoken days, and I got a little shit for it, but I stand by it, especially now. That Masters win in 2019, that big comeback, that should have been his. He should have right then said,
he should have walked out. Yeah. He should have walked out. Here's the deal. I think everyone is saying 7-8 months. Add another 5 or 6 months to that at least. And on top of that, like you said, the guy should have walked away after winning the Masters in 2019. That would have been the perfect way. He came back. He made his point after the back injuries, which is what he originally suffered, and said, I'm going to come back. I'm motivated. I won. I can go back out on top. And that's it.
Not just the back injuries, but you think about the fall that Tiger had after 2009. The first car crash, and I remember when he got basically caught cheating
and crashing his own car, I think, while high on prescription pills.
Yeah, that was the traffic stop.
No, Ambien.
That was the traffic stop.
Yeah, the traffic stop. But still, he doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. We are way past the stage of where I need to prove everybody wrong.
The guy is worth millions upon millions, maybe even billions of dollars at this point. It's not like he's going out there for money and he's desperate for money.
Yeah, his legacy is secure. His wallet is nice and fat.
I don't know if I'd say his legacy is 100% clear with the cheating scandal, with getting caught with the prescription pills. I wouldn't say his legacy is 100%.
People are still going to refer to him as the greatest golfer of all time. Whether that's true is up for debate. But people are still going to be referring to him as the GOAT.
Well,
am I right or am I wrong?
No, you're right.
He'll be in the debate for the GOAT. I would say the GOAT debate in golf will always be him,
Phil. Yeah.
Jack Nicklaus.
The one thing I will say here, if Tiger does not play again, the sport is going to become irrelevant.
I think the sport has already become irrelevant, to be honest.
No, but people are saying like, "Oh, Tiger's hurt," and like they really desperately need him back. They do desperately need him back.
I understand. First of all, I understand what you're saying about Tiger. That Tiger needs to be there and for the game to have relevance. And I understand that the likes of like Rory McIlroy and Jordan Spieth are trying their hardest to basically be golf's new stars. But I would say, but I think golf kind of already has been on the decline. I think it has been on the decline, to be honest with you, since that first Tiger controversy. I think if Tiger walks away from this now, which I think he will, because again, he doesn't need to prove anything anymore, and his health is more important. The sport is basically going to flatline.
The problem is there's really no retirement in golf. You could play golf until you're 75 years old if you really wanted to.
You can play golf until your arms and legs don't move anymore.
Right. So that's the way I would leave it. Unfortunately, the sport is going to become irrelevant. Go ahead, golf fans, come after me. I don't care. But the truth is, if you don't have Tiger Woods, the sport is not worth watching.
All right. From one controversy over to another. We mentioned Kobe Bryant a couple of times in there, and there were a couple of times where Kobe was in the news.
Yeah. When I saw this story and I see Meek Mill and Kobe trending on Twitter, I said, oh, no. What? I'm like, usually when you see things trending on Twitter, you're like, who died? And I'm like,
it's like, okay, I need to check and see if the person keeled over. And if they don't, I'll go back to not caring.
And then when I realized, oh, wait, they're talking about someone who already passed away a year ago, I said, okay, this is not good. So I click on the story and I see Meek Mill has written lyrics about Kobe Bryant and the helicopter. And I said, what? Like, I know rappers write diss tracks and they put out all these diss lyrics, but really, Meek? Like, what are you doing?
Look, on the spectrum of people qualified to talk about rap music, I think we're somewhere in the over there range.
Oh, I thought we were rap aficionados.
No.
Yeah, I think we're way too white for that, but that's just me. I mean, there's white, and then there's alabaster.
Damn it, you're
All
gonna
right.
get canceled. Come on.
All right. So you want? I say. Okay. How do you want me to read the actual lyric? I think. Should I say Should I say the first letter when a curse word comes up?
Read the actual lyric portion. Don't read the first part. Read
Okay.
just the thing with the Kobe lyric in it.
Okay. Okay. So that. Okay. All right. So the lyric from Meek Mill is, "Yeah, and if I ever lack, I'm going out with my chopper. It be another Kobe."
See, you know what?
Ugh.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
what's wrong with you?
that's a yikes from me, dog.
I mean,
way too soon.
So we've seen a lot of things go on with cancel culture. You guys have seen it. I've seen it. Everything's being canceled due to the dark humor that people don't understand.
It's not actually cancel culture; it's actually consequence culture. But people don't want to face consequences.
Exactly. That's correct. And so if you say one little thing today, your career is basically over.
Which I mean, but again, read the room. Read the friggin' room.
His wife tweeted back.
I was just about.
Or not tweeted, Instagram back.
She wrote a statement basically. I'll read some of it here. Quote from Vanessa Bryant from the Instagram story where she criticized Meek Mill. Quote, "I find this line to be extremely insensitive and disrespectful, period. I am not familiar with any of your music, but I believe you can be better than this. If you are a fan, fine. There's a better way to show your admiration for my husband. This lacks respect and tact."
I mean, I've heard of Oblivious, but this is your head so far up your ass, you're chewing up your own farts.
But I agree with her. I think he took that way too far.
But Shaq had a quote as the second part of that's the second part of that story.
All right, so yes, so Shaquille O'Neal. Now, guys, we know the history of Shaquille O'Neal.
Wait a minute. Did he say
Diesel?
There's one situation between Shaq and Kobe when he was at the public event. Do you remember what he said about Kobe or no?
Yeah, and he was rapping.
But do you remember what he actually said? Because I do.
Can't do shit without me.
No, he said, "Hey Kobe, tell me how my ass tastes."
Basically, you guys basically said the same thing in a different way.
I mean, I wasn't. Still,
all right. Well, let me see if I can.
Want to go down that cul-de-sac because I'm not going to come back.
Okay, so I want to try something here. I was going to say, so Shaq was actually doing an interview with Mark Carman. And there is somebody on this podcast who has a connection to Mark Carman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Mark Carman is is basically one of the faces of a place called Fansided.
That place.
Yeah, that place. I wonder whichever one of us has that connection.
Oh, I thought it was me.
I can't think of anybody.
I can't think of anybody. All right. But basically, Shaq was doing an interview with Fansided, and he was asked about, his thoughts on the whole situation. Let's see. I'll say now, I have the audio, but it's on my phone. So let's see if my microphone can pick this up well.
There was news with a Meek Mill song that came out here. I'm not sure if you are willing to comment on that, but I'm sure people would like to hear your thoughts.
In the world of hip-hop, it's all about metaphors and word trickery. I think it was too soon for that. And, Kobe's wife said something, I think Meek apologized, but I know Meek, it wasn't personal. You just have to understand that the world of hip-hop is all about who can say the nastiest and the trickiest metaphors. I'm sure he's feeling pretty down about all the backlash that he's taking, but he apologized to Vanessa in private, and that's all good as a
So it sounds like you got empathy on both sides. He's trying to be a creative artist, and she's got feelings, and both is okay.
But it's just that, you have to understand, it wasn't a personal attack. Hip hop is all about metaphors, doing this, wordplay, and doing that. I know what he was trying to do, but it just didn't come off correctly, and it was probably way too soon for that. And again, he apologized to Kobe's wife.
I mean, I understand that. I'd say again, not hip hop aficionado, let alone either of us on this show. But I gotta say, I understand in the world of hip hop, it's all about who has the sickest rhymes, who can have, like you said, the wordplay, who can have the nastiest,
diss track.
Yeah, the diss.
The diss, or
who can drag the most,
or the metaphor, the comparison. But like Shaq said, maybe it's still too soon.
There's actually a great show which most people don't know, and this is where this culture kind of started on MTV, called Wild and Out, which was a show.
I think that's still on the air. I think.
Well,
it's a rebooted version with. Yeah, but still, I know what you're referring to, the original version.
Well, Nick Cannon was the host. He kind of got canceled cultured for saying something against.
But because he's saying dumb stuff.
Well, actually, believe it or not,
it's not cancel culture; it's consequence culture.
Believe it or not, I met him at my former employment. I actually got to shake hands with him, and we spoke about the whole thing. But anyway, he got cancel culture because of that type of show and being the type of comedian or whatever you really want to call him. And then they brought him back after time. My point is that Meek never got a slap on the wrist for this at all.
I was going to say, he's talking about that, he feels bad for Meek, and I guess, if I was the recipient of that backlash, I would feel terrible. But it's like, I feel like Meek knew what he was doing. And by the way, I'll say it. I think he knew. He knew.
Well, you knew when you say anything about Kobe, it's going to get attention. I'm going to go back to a term that you and Nick use: shit stirrer.
I mean, that's what that was. He kind of was.
So, unfortunately, it's the nature of the beast. When you do something stupid, you're going to get caught, especially when you're a public figure.
Definitely. So now let's talk about another story. Very briefly here, a story that Kobe was involved in again. So Kyrie Irving, I'd say we know, obviously, he is very outspoken in the NBA community with his ideas. He believes that the NBA logo should be changed from the Jerry West that we know to Kobe.
I mean, call me an idiot if you wish, but I had no idea that it even was Jerry West.
See, and that's what I was going to say, that being the NBA aficionado, I know it's Jerry West, but at the same time,
you know it's Jerry West.
but I was going to say, I'm agreeing with you, Nick, that a lot of people who are just casual NBA fans don't know that. It just looks like
I had no idea who Jerry West was until I learned he was the logo.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I knew who Jerry West was because he's probably one of the greatest Lakers of all time. But
he's one of the best NBA players of all time.
NBA players of all time, but still not. But you could have switched it out for Kobe, and nobody would have noticed.
Right. So I understand where Kyrie's coming from, and the problem sometimes with Kyrie is you don't know if he's in a bad mood one day or if he is. Sometimes he's got good ideas, like he was doing charity and bringing meals to people. So you never know with him and the media. And I'm surprised he was even talking to the media because he hates talking to the media. He's the Marshawn Lynch of the NBA.
There's a phrase in Italian for that. It's "che se pazzo," which is he's crazy. But I mean, Jerry West. They interviewed Jerry West, and Jerry West said it was okay. He didn't care. So, I mean, I don't know what.
I guess the only problem now is you have to, come up with basically a new logo. In other words, the NBA creative team is going to have to.
Well, the problem you have, and I don't know if this is exactly what Jerry West was thinking, but if he says no, are you going to get a race issue if he said no?
No, because you're replacing a black man with another black man. If anything, the problem would be you would be replacing Jerry West with someone who was accused of rape.
Well,
Yeah, there's that.
You do
Well,
have.
I was gonna say there's that, but if he says no, I mean, you know how Kobe's fans are, and we're just talking about with Meek Mill. I guarantee you, if he had said no, Jerry West would have had a shitstorm coming after him.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying.
And you don't disrespect Jerry West. Jerry West is basketball for a lot of people.
Well, Jerry West went from being a Hall of Fame player to a Hall of Fame executive right after his career was over.
And doctor too, as a matter of fact, didn't he?
I think so, yeah. But Kyrie, I think at this point in time, usually he's either up or down, and by down I mean flat like the earth, or up like the good idea of making Kobe the logo. Yes, I did make that joke.
Black man.
Black man. Very good.
Yes.
All right. So let's go now, to the other big story of today. Kevin Mather of the Seattle Mariners.
Oh, we're back in this situation again.
Speaking of people who like the taste of their own feet, Kevin Mather.
I don't know. I don't think that's the feet you're talking about. I don't think that's feet, Nick. I think you're talking about another body part.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, but because for those of us who are for those of our listeners who are based in New York and might not even know who the hell Kevin Mather even is, context is necessary. So he's the Mariners president of baseball operations
and CEO.
And
there was a YouTube video put up by the team or something affiliated with the team.
Well,
he was talking to a Rotary Club.
Yeah, he was doing an interview. Someone happened to actually be videoing, which, by the way, and Thomas said this many times, and Nick, you've said this too. Even if you're not doing an interview for a publication, always assume somebody
recorded.
So he was doing an interview. He was talking about what was he? He was talking about a Japanese player and not wanting to pay the $75,000 a year.
$75,000 as a translator, because once they said, "Oh, we're paying for it," this magic is not there. Which, what a dick thing to say.
Yeah, but what I don't understand, by the way, have you noticed that Major League Baseball is Japanese culture? So if you say something against the Japanese culture, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, exactly. You play stupid games and you win stupid prizes.
Okay, well, let's be clear here on something. That was the biggest thing, but it wasn't the only thing he said. So I'm looking at an article. I'm just going to pass over a couple of things that he also said. He broke down basically Seattle's roster, and basically he continuously incorrectly referred to catcher Luis Torres as Luis Torres. He described longtime third baseman Kyle Seager, who's probably been one of the faces of the team since the departure of Ichiro and since Robinson Cano basically fell off the planet. And he basically described Seager as probably overpaid, even though he's one of the biggest leaders in that clubhouse.
That's hypocritical.
He basically, we're talking about there was no chance you were going to see young players at T-Mobile Park. They weren't going to put them on the 40-man roster because they didn't want to start the service time.
Admitting to gaming his service time.
Right, and I would say basically more admitting of the loopholes of trying to not start players' clocks. And I would say,
that, by the way, I just want to clarify one thing about that point, which is that's not just a Seattle Mariners problem. That's a baseball. That's a baseball problem.
We will talk about that in just a second. But basically, after all those comments came out, I mentioned Kyle Seager before. Kyle Seager's wife then got on Twitter and basically responded with some in substance. So should we start hacking our things now?
Yeah, now we need the DJ Khaled gif. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Okay, can I say one thing? What is it with baseball wives and going on Instagram lately?
I mean, it's a great way to express displeasure. I don't
No,
know.
but we had this situation, and then you had Albert Pujols' wife who went on Instagram and basically threw the whole media in a frenzy, thinking that
We'll
Albert
get to
was
that.
retiring.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, but I mean,
I think first of all, how stupid can you be?
how stupid can you be saying these things? How stupid can you be getting caught saying these things?
And by the way, you're a CEO and a president of a Major League Baseball team, for crying out loud.
Treat your players with some goddamn respect.
Yeah. Treat your players with some respect. Second of all, you don't like being in a rebuild? Well, tough shit. I mean, I'd say that some of my teams, like the Giants and Rangers, have been in a rebuild for a couple of years now.
We've been in a rebuild for 5 years.
Do I dare say the Knicks?
I thought you were going to say your favorite team.
I mean, I wasn't even in kindergarten the last time they were good. So
it's like the 80s, right?
The 90s, I'd say.
1994. I use as the bellwether.
God, I was 1 year old. Eek.
Again, you guys were in diapers, and I wasn't even in pre-K yet, or I wasn't even in kindergarten yet.
I mean, let's be fair here. The Knicks did make the finals in '99. They did have those good seasons when Stoudemire and Melo and Lynn were around. Jason Kidd got us to the final 8.
Are you serious? Oh God, it's like a list of ex-girlfriends.
Well, when you don't have it,
it's like a list of broken dreams.
When you don't have a lot of success, you count on the successes that you do have.
You tend to remember the ones that stick out.
But just to get back to this whole situation with Kevin Mather, and we're seeing this across the sport. By the way, Major League Baseball is gaining a reputation of being the allegedly abusive league, one with Mickey Callaway still having a job in this sport, and Kevin Mather. It finally took them. How many days did it take them, or did they do it that same day? I can't remember.
It was a couple of days.
3 days, 3 days, probably.
I mean,
but still, the important thing to remember here, and the operative point, is that he's only saying as idiotic and as ill-advised and as frankly despicable as a lot of his comments were. He's saying the quiet part loud, and he's not saying anything that wouldn't say if they weren't being recorded.
I just saw that, as one of the headlines, that quote, he's saying the quiet part loud. So, first of all, Kevin Mather, shame on him. He's gone. Good. And Nick, by the way, we were talking about baseball and its reputation. I mean, after what we saw last season and the fact that the union and the league have basically a year before everything gets thrown in the toilet because of a potential strike.
Yeah, Tony Clark and Rob Manfred are about ready to choke each other out.
But let's talk about this. So very briefly, let's talk about service time here. So a lot of players are now basically pointing to Mather and saying, see.
So essentially, if you don't know about what service time is, it's essentially you put in when you get called up to the big leagues from the minors, essentially a clock starts.
It's 3 years. In 3 years, you're arbitration eligible. 6 years, you are free agency eligible.
So once that clock runs out, you are in stages. You are arbitration eligible and a free agent. But a lot of people, a lot of GMs like to bring the prospects up, play them for a couple of games, and then send them down in order to extend the service time as much as possible.
There's certain rules also that, depending on what part of the season it is, you can bring somebody up. But then if you keep them down before the September call-up date, then they don't get the service time that they're supposed to get.
Right. I was going to say the 40-man roster, but then again, under the new baseball rules, I think that's only 28 now.
Well, it's the COVID rules or whatever that they're doing. But
so you're trying to outsmart a clock, essentially.
But this whole situation with service time is crap. We saw this happen. We saw this happen with Chris Bryant. Was one of the big names that this happened to.
Right. Well, I'm saying, and I think Chris Bryant actually commented
Labor
about
did
this.
as well.
But basically, my point is now I think in the wake of Mather's comments, they're going to be forced to change, and I think it's going to be the most simple change. Once they're up, that's the clock.
Well, I've agreed. We've all said that forever. That once you hit the major league level,
that should be the clock.
That's it. But what that's going to cause, though, now is you're not going to see any big time prospects come up if they do that.
They're not going to come up and then come down. If they're gonna be up, they're gonna stay up. So you're not going to see a lot of.
I guess then the other issue is, like sometimes prospects are coming up because, well, let's face it. Let's take our team, the Yankees, for example, because people get hurt.
People do get hurt, and it's like you wouldn't see a Mike Talkman under this kind of system. You wouldn't see a who else could I use?
Well, when Gleyber Torres actually came up before he was a star.
You wouldn't see Ronnie Torres. You probably wouldn't even see Gio Urshela.
Or Devi or King.
Or Davey or Mike King
and also
really.
The one problem with the rule is if they put this new rule in, what happens if they're not 100% ready? Like they come up, they throw a few innings, or they have a start. They need to go back to the minors.
I had just brought up a point is, what if they're only there to basically fill a hole?
Yeah. So maybe they'll do something like after September 1st, the clock stops after September.
I was going to say September 1st, basically no penalty.
Yeah, no penalty.
Well, right, because that's when the rosters expand. But the service time thing is crap. You know what? If CEOs or GMs or whatever are stopping players,
injury exemptions,
or that too, yeah.
But I was just going to say they're basically stopping these players from making money. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
All right, so now, guys, let's do the best of the rest. Let's go through all the rest of the headlines in the last stages of our show here. So let's talk about a story that's unfortunately been developing another controversy in the NBA. So, Jeremy, as you know, with the recent wave of attacks on Asian Americans, we've seen a lot of, speaking out. It's one of these things, again, where a lot of leagues are making statements, a lot of companies making statements, some of them empty.
Some of them are really empty. I mean,
how about there's zero? There's zero. There's nothing going on to defend this whole situation.
No,
those
but
are probably so hollow you could store Saints' bones in them.
So, but Jeremy Lin, obviously, I just brought him up. Jeremy Lin, I'll say he was not with the Knicks for a long time, but he's still a most beloved New York Knick.
Beloved here. I mean, we all appreciate what Jeremy Lin was able to do.
You know what's so crazy about that whole situation is that he almost took over Carmelo Anthony in New York.
He did. There's no almost. He did.
He did.
No, but I mean in general, like he became the leader almost.
Basically. But basically, Jeremy Lin made a statement in the last 24 hours, basically detailing some of the behavior he's experienced on the court, and he has admitted that basically he has been called coronavirus. Now, Nick, you know this more than I do because you know the NBA more than I do. Was he referring to other players calling him the coronavirus or
on the court? On the court.
On the court, players call.
The quote was that it was directly on the court. And you know what? I'm tired.
This was people in the stands.
No. This was on the court. On the court. And you know what? I'm tired of this shit from Commissioner Adam Silver not paying attention to things when they happen. We're dealing with all these other issues. We're dealing with an All-Star game that's coming up in March. We had We had a China issue where basically China shunned the NBA, which is probably the biggest country in the sport that helps them.
And I'm sorry for saying this, but this is one of those things I can't resist and not say. For a league that is supposedly progressive, for a league that is activist and so anti-racist, supportive of Black Lives Matter, you can't say that and then go bully the Asian American community. You can't do that.
This is not San Francisco in the 1890s.
The NBA is absolutely exposing itself, like you were just saying with all their controversies and this, for the absolute crap show that it is of a league.
You really do need to put a pin in this crap right away.
And this is all. And I know you guys were asking. You guys were asking me this. Whose fault it is? It's Adam Silver's fault. I don't want to hear.
The reason why I did that is because I didn't know it was coming from the players. I thought it was coming from the fans.
No.
I didn't realize. No, if that's the case, then they need to be suspended.
Adam Silver is basically allowing a lot of shit to happen. I mean,
look, we can debate about player-focused league until the cows come home. We can do that, but you know what? There is a clear difference between right behavior and wrong behavior. And if you don't know which one this falls under, you're just as big of an idiot. I swear to God, you may be as dumb as a bag of rocks.
I'm sorry.
Oh wait, I have a
Yeah.
statement. I have the statement from Jeremy Lin right here.
Okay.
So something is changing in this generation of Asian Americans. We're tired of being told that we don't experience racism. We are tired of being told to keep our heads down and not make trouble. We are tired of Asian American kids growing up and being asked where they're really from, or having eyes mocked, of being objectified as exotic, or being told we're inherently unattractive. We're tired of stereotypes in Hollywood affecting our psyche and limiting who we think we can be. We're tired of being invisible, of being mistaken for our colleague, or told our struggles aren't real.
I'm sorry. This league sucks. The NBA sucks, and that's not me. Remember our feud a couple of years ago, the NBA versus this league sucks. Adams sucks.
There's one more statement, actually. He says, being a 9-year NBA veteran doesn't protect me from being called coronavirus on the court.
See, if you don't... This is why I keep telling you guys it's progressive seeming, not actually progressive, when you guys always say it's one of the most progressive.
It's literal just have respect for your others, especially... Well, I was going to say, and like, sorry, but it has to be said again, especially when you players are out there taking the knee, supporting Black Lives Matter and everything. You can't do that and then go...
Black Lives Matter, let's remember, only goes as far as it doesn't lose them money.
Right, but again, you can't do that and then go calling Jeremy Lin coronavirus.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Nick, wait a minute. We're talking about a situation where the NBA controls everything. Not the NBA. The players of the NBA control everything. Adam Silver's not going to step in, because what happens if he steps in and makes rules? The players are going to walk out and they're going to say, "F you, Adam Silver. I'm out of here."
Which again, why this shows that this league is absolute trash, from the players to that damn commissioner. This league sucks so much, and I'd say the last couple of seasons have exposed a lot of Adam Silver's
flaws.
Yeah.
You mean you know what? Just say for what it is. It's bullshit. That's what we're saying here.
He may have just. I said it last week. He may have overtaken Goodell. He may have.
It's very close. It's one of those. What's that thing that we use that we put the stuff on each side?
You have to intentionally screw up.
He has intentionally screwed up. That's the whole issue here.
I was gonna say he has, with how he's run the NBA during this COVID era.
Do I have to say it again? COVID-19, All-Star Game, China.
Why do you think we wrote that ad break? Why do you think we wrote that fake PSA?
If you want to go to our page, go check out the impressive PSA that we put together for the NBA.
I was gonna say, and like you said in that PSA, Nick, just wait until they try to jump on a COVID vaccine.
Exactly.
I'm serious. I think that they are, and first of all, I'm not going to hold them as the only one accountable for doing that. I think a lot of the sports events are going to do it. So, and I think Major League Baseball's already started its process of trying to get it. So,
guys, you ready for a curling episode?
Oh no! Well, we'd have to have an Olympics first, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now we're going to have to talk about Olympic pole vaulting. Hey, have they turned Fortnite into an Olympic sport yet?
Just don't say weightlifting, because they're going to be canceling that out of the Olympics. I heard.
Vince, I mentioned it last week. XVA, come on.
Yeah.
Think about it. Trampolines. Like we could have a very bouncy court. Friendly.
You know what sport I want? I want to bring basketball to the Olympics.
Oh my God!
It'd be like a cross between a Harlem Globetrotters game and basketball in a bladder full of acid.
All right, so let's talk about Artemi Panarin now. I would say, so basically this is quite an interesting story here. So Artemi Panarin of the New York Rangers has pretty much taken a leave after a story came out from the Russian media that basically a decade or so ago, while he was a 21, 22-year-old player in the KHL, which is Russia's big hockey league, he supposedly hit a young girl. Now, I was saying, originally, I saw on the original graphic, it was 21, but there's been mixed reports about how old this girl is. I've heard 13, I've heard 21, I've heard 18, 14. So it sounds weird off the bat because we can't figure out this girl's age. So now comes another little swerve here that apparently Artemi Panarin is allegedly, this story is false, and this is basically framing him by the Russian government.
Now, the reason why that would happen is because he is a very, if you know anything about Artemi Panarin and his public statements, he is a very vocal critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin.
But you know what's weird? You know what's weird about this story? Apparently, the NHL didn't really do anything. He was the one that kind of stepped away.
Yeah, he basically.
You can't, because you can't ask. You can't ask a player to step away if you know they're being blackmailed.
I was gonna say. Now, obviously, the circumstances sound very bad. Hitting a young girl, even if it was 10 years ago. We talked about culture and everything, but now in the last few days, we've heard. I would say now the comments come from an interview with Panarin's old coach from Russia in the KHL, and now in the past couple of days, we've heard teammates say, we've never heard of such a story. And the league itself from the Russian league is saying that they never
playing in at the time has said that this never occurred.
See, I don't understand. And this could be in any sport. How does no one know that this story is either happened or being investigated? How is this not being looked at?
I was gonna say in those circumstances it's bad, but when there's an allegation that the Russian government is basically trying to frame a critic like Panarin, and its own league is basically saying we've never heard of stuff, that's kind of bad, and that's really suspicious.
Yeah, it is. It is quite sus, as the kids say.
I don't know. It's a very bizarre story, like you said.
Actually, I'd say you're Mr. NBA. You know what this situation reminds me of?
What?
With Turkey, Cantner.
Yeah, it is exactly like Enes Cantner.
Yeah, I could see that because, again, the one difference is that Enes Kanter escaped Turkey as opposed to Panarin going back to Russia to deal with this situation. And Panarin is actually liked by Russia, unlike Enes Kanter, who's completely hated by Turkey.
The thing about you mentioned the NHL hasn't said anything, and some of the other players haven't said anything, and it has to be brought up. Alex Ovechkin, the most famous Russian player, he is a supporter of President Putin.
So that is its own can of worms. We're not exactly a geopolitical podcast.
Yeah.
Are we going to try to be? Hopefully.
I would say we don't really. I'd say, well, we can talk about sports and politics all we want. I'd say we're not a politics podcast, let alone an international politics podcast.
Yeah, but I don't know. Long story short, it's tough to have a judgment on this story until we actually know what the actual facts are, as you two would say, Mr. Journalism over there.
Yeah, but do I look like Christine Amanpour to you? Amanpour isn't that nice.
All right, so Nick, for a couple of minutes, go over this story here. So the National Basketball Coaches Association is saying the midseason coaching hire by the T-Wolves, so they're not fans of it.
Yeah, this was interesting. So Adrian Wojnarowski, who is the top NBA honcho for ESPN, breaks most of the stories along with Shams Charania of The Athletic and Stadium. He puts out a story, the National Basketball Coaches Association. By the way, I didn't even know this was an organization. This is the first time I was learning about this when I saw this story. Mm-hmm. And they issued a statement on behalf of, well, I shouldn't say on behalf, on the Minnesota Timberwolves process in hiring a new coach, Chris Finch, when in the middle of the season, a new head coach.
I would say, but it's bizarre enough already. It's like usually there's an interim head coach or something like that. No, they just went out and hired somebody. And let me add this detail, Nick, and correct me if I'm wrong. Hired somebody who was on another team.
Oh yeah, he was on the Raptors coaching staff.
So essentially, they pulled a Gruden mid-season.
Mid-season.
Yeah, pretty much. And what I don't get, so the NBCA is, in my opinion, I think overreacting to this a little bit.
I didn't even realize they existed before we were.
None of us did.
Well, that's what I said. I know a lot about the NBA. I didn't even know that the National Basketball Coaches Association was a thing. So I'm reading through the statement that they put out, and basically they're crying. I don't know what's the best word to describe
Crying
it.
foul.
What?
Crying foul.
No, crying foul. But what's the best word to describe it? I don't know if I would say race, but that they're crying like equal opportunity, I guess.
Essentially, they're invoking a Rooney Rule, kind of like that, or
Essentially,
I guess.
and you know what? I get it. I understand that we're having issues where black head coaches are not being hired in sports, but I think it's a little unfair in this COVID situation to really be having this judgment at this point in time.
Well, first of all, I'd like to know from the Timberwolves, why are you hiring somebody like a full-on hire, not an interim hire, in the middle of the season? Why the hell are you doing that?
I don't know. You know what? It's basketball Siberia anyway, so I really don't think that they thought anybody would notice.
It's confusing to me because
I'll just say one thing on this before you guys go on. You know the comparison I make. If I'm in a burning building, I don't care what race or what color you are. Please just save me. Be the best person for the job.
Right.
Again, for the best person for the Timberwolves job, you probably have better luck hiring a broom.
Well, I was going to say, Nick, like the word
coaching acumen.
I'm going to use your words that you used before. This is basketball Siberia, this coaching job. Who wants to be the head coach of the Timberwolves right now?
Yeah, what self-respecting coach, no matter who they are, what self-respecting coach would take that job?
Remember when Kevin Garnett was around the Timberwolves and they were actually good?
Oh, God. I was in high school when that happened.
But the whole thing... But I want to make one more statement, and then we can finish this up, which is, it made sense to me now why the NBA put out those tweets and the NFL put out those tweets talking about we're with the Asian community for situations like this. And I don't know. The NBA's got to get its shit together.
Definitely. All right, well, let's briefly talk about this Albert Pujols thing. So his wife basically makes an Instagram post, basically says it's Albert's last season. Now, it is the last season on his contract. Wait
a minute. We need to give a timeline of what happened with us when we posted this story. So
we posted,
all of a sudden, I tweeted it out when it broke, and basically the term that I'm going to use is from SpongeBob. We got Smeckledorfed.
Yeah, we've been had, and
the whole media world was had, which by the way is kind of effed up because first Albert's wife, what's her name? I feel like I want to address her by her name.
I'll find it while you're talking about
it. Deidre. So Deidre posts that it's Albert's last season. And I say now it is the last season on his contract, but it looks like it's a retirement. Let's face it, Albert's kind of getting up there.
He's kind of getting up there.
He's
41.
He's 41. He's had 3,000 hits. He's one of the best home run hitting players of all time. It seemed appropriate that he was going to retire at the end of this contract.
But why is his wife the one interpreting it, not him?
And then comes but then she changes it. She uses the edit feature on Instagram to change it to that's the last season on that contract.
She went, "Oops, I didn't mean to do that."
And the effed up part is when it was in the original post that basically looked like a retirement post. Albert commented with 3 hearts like he was approving the message.
Well, and you know what? You know how when someone accidentally posts a big story that has a lot of following,
they let the cat out of the bag early.
Well, no, but I'm saying that we saw it all over Twitter, all over the sports media. They had a frenzy. All LA media was on top of it.
And it's not exactly comparable to what happened with us and Ahmed Rosario, but if she had, I don't mean to bring it up, but if she had, started leaving nasty comments on or giving us grief, or giving a lot of other ESPN reporters grief, then you could have said, eh.
Yeah, but actually, if that was the case, well, we did report the story, but the reason we're not apologizing for it is because she's an idiot and reported it incorrectly.
So if it ends up being true, then you could say it.
I was gonna say because it made sense when it was first reported. You know, they were gonna give Albert maybe a good goodbye. He would probably do a retirement tour like Jeter and Big Papi had.
Papi did he, and people would definitely do it. Definitely willing.
All right, guys. So let's briefly these last two stories here. So I want to get your reaction first of all to this, Aaron Judge.
I mean, I really
it's not normal without the gap.
I mean, it's weird. It's like you remember when you were a little kid and your father would shave and you don't recognize him.
Yep.
This is kind of like that. I'm not going to. I think he looked better with the gap because it made him distinctive.
You know what's going to happen now, right? You know what's going to happen. They're going to say, "Oh, wait, it's the lucky teeth. It's the lucky teeth that's going to make him hit 50 home runs this year."
Quick,
Well,
somebody put a pair of pliers in his mouth.
All right. Well, let's see if he actually stays on the field healthy this season.
Yep.
All right. So let's get your reaction to this then to end the show. So this is JJ Watt.
Okay, so I've heard of cryptic statements that actually end up meaning nothing, but this is like Gabe Newell level stuff.
Tom, if you can,
like Half-Life 3 stuff.
Tom, if you can quickly go to our Twitter account and find the meme that I made on this. Also, if you remember, I did the spelling out of a certain team to show the point of how this makes sense. Anyway, while he's looking that up, JJ Watt put out this really interesting tweet that you're looking at on the screen that says mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Now, I hate science. I used to hate science in school. I could give two shits about science. I was a history buff. That was really my thing in school. But at least I know mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. That was the one definition they used to teach us in science when we were kids. If you know that, then you're pretty much okay in science. So,
Nick, how long ago was this tweet?
Oh, it was. I'll look it up. But essentially, I put out a meme talking about JJ Watt and what team he could be going to. And
we're saying that it actually spells out Buffalo Bills if you look at the number of letters in the word mitochondria.
Well, mitochondria I think is 12 letters. So Buffalo Bills is 12 letters. And that people are saying that's the conspiracy theory that's going on here.
Okay, not to get too tinfoil hatty around here, but maybe he was just reading his daughter's science textbook.
Yeah, but why would you tweet this out?
Maybe he was just reading somebody's science textbook. Maybe he watching a nature documentary. Maybe he actually got really high and just thought he was a ficus.
Or you know what? Or maybe he was eating Chinese food and it came in a fortune cookie.
Well, I mean, that does sound like something you would get in a fortune cookie.
I'll say, I'll say,
the back of a Snapple, the back of a
Frank Isola actually had an interesting theory because if you look at the letters, I was gonna say, if you rearrange the letters like an anagram, monitor a shy D.
See, that's the one that was interesting to me when you said it. I was like, that took a lot of effort probably to find that.
But we've heard reports that JJ might be interested in Cleveland. We've heard, of course, there was my theory joining his brothers Derek and TJ.
I still think that's going to happen.
Pittsburgh. I think so too, Pittsburgh.
But
still, I think you might be looking a little too far into this.
It was funny though. You have to admit that coming up with that meme was pretty fun.
All right, we got to wrap things up here. So that's going to do it for us. For Nick Fodera and Nick Morgasen, I'm Tom Albano. We'll see you next week, episode 75. Who knows what crazy things might happen? 3/4 to 100.
We might have spring training to actually talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh my gosh. But until then, guys, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Actually, hang on, because now I have to get our normal screen up because I had to.
Technical difficulties in a live show, everybody.
Yeah, thank God this isn't live.
All right, now I'm ready to say goodnight. So good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.